Hey guys, this is Noodle, and it is nighttime, and I really want to get a video out tomorrow. So because this project that I'm working on is taking a little bit longer than I was thinking it was supposed to be something quick, and it's not. It's never quick. It's never quick, Annie. So we're gonna split this into two. Today I'm gonna release the watercolor part, and then on Friday, I think, I'm gonna do colored pencils on top of that. And I think it's gonna be fun. This video is already a little bit outrageously long, and I feel like I gloss over a lot of important topics when I start cutting out big chunks. Yeah, so let's go do some art. Okay, so voiceover Annie Noodle is here to talk about my process. So we start out with a light table. I have a Huion? I don't know, light table. It's really great. I like it a lot. And I use my Colorase pencil to just get my lines down. I try to be as careful as I can. I used to be a little bit more sloppy with tracing, and I realized that that is not a good plan. It kind of defeats the purpose of tracing. And then I busted out my really ancient masking fluid, which also might be a bad plan. I'm a little, I think it's fine still, but it's very old, and yeah, I probably should get new masking fluid at some point. And someday I'm sure that will, do something horrible to a painting that I'm working on. And for all I know, it could be this one. I haven't actually taken the masking fluid off of this yet because I am still working on it. As I said in my intro, this is part one of a two-part little mini-series about this painting. So this painting is called Evening at the Bridge of Bells, and in Friday's video, I will show you what inspired it, and we will talk about inspiration and stuff on Friday, which I'm really excited about. I think it's really fascinating where ideas come from and the kind of giddy feeling you get when you're really inspired to start a new painting and you have an interesting idea and you can see the image forming in your head. And I have, in the last few years, I've spent a lot of time doing art every day. And because of that, I have bridged that gap between getting an idea in my head and getting an idea down on paper. So it is actually more exciting for me now than it was a year ago. Oh, and here I'm fighting with cat hair. You're going to see that a lot. It's spring. There's a lot of cat hair floating around. There's a lot of cat hair on my palette. There's a lot of cat hair on my cats, and my cats always want attention. So here I am working through the first very subtle wash layers of watercolor, and I'm using my single pigment Mission Gold paints, and I love them. I have nothing but good things to say about them. They re-wet easily, and I have one of those fold-over palettes, and don't, I don't have a problem with them falling out, even though, like, you kind of clamshell it closed, so, like, there's paint on both sides of the clamshell, basically. And I don't have any problems with the paints falling out so far. I do have a couple of Daniel Smith paints in there, and funnily enough, they fall out. So I think that's funny. Anyways, and Mission Gold does have honey in it, so it re-wets really, really easily. Okay, so here I am painting an evening sky, and I am so sorry that the focus is all wonky when I start out here. I don't know why I have to forget to lock the autofocus like at least once per video, but it seems like it's just in my nature. So what I'm trying to do here in order to get the sky in is to keep a living edge, is what I call it, on the edge of my wet area at the top. And all that means is I get an area wet, and because it's so intricate, I can't just paint the whole sky all at once. And so I get an area wet, and then I carefully avoid pushing the pigment in the paint up to the edge of that wet area so that it doesn't create backgrounds. That's one of the ways you get backgrounds is kind of when you push your pigment all the way up to the edge of the wet area. And then you try to add more water to the edge of the wet area to make the wet area larger. Then you can get backgrounds and cauliflowers. And that stuff can be fun if you mean for it to be there, and really annoying when you don't mean for it to be there. And then I'm just dotting in some stars too. Yeah, so if my explanation of what a living edge in a watercolor painting didn't make sense, like if my explanation didn't make sense, just let me know and I will try to explain it better on a day when I have slept better, if that day ever comes. Yeah. Does anybody else just not sleep well in the spring, or is it just me? Like, wow. All right, so I am jumping in here to talk about what I'm doing. So I want this to be kind of an evening scene. And if you've seen some of my other stuff lately, oh my goodness, why can't I talk? If you've seen some of my other things lately, you've noticed that I kind of have like a color scheme that I've been really drawn towards, like reds and purples and oranges that are kind of not pastel-y, but not like full-on vibrant colors. So I want that to be the background here. And so approaching sanity, I mixed up some, yeah, okay, like this is what my palette looks like. Seriously, it's a mess. I mixed up some different shades, and I probably will do a couple of oranges too, like orangey yellows. And I'll just start with the darkest ones at these top layers of houses, and by the time I get down here, it will be like oranges and yellows. So that's what I'm doing. I wanted you to see, like, I do occasionally plan ahead. Also, my palette is always covered in cat hair. Look at that. This is what happens when you have 3 cats. And there's, oh, that one's mine. Okay, can't blame him for that one. So here I am, and I will repeat this process over and over again, so I will not explain it again. I just, also, like, I don't know why, but I can't keep my camera from changing the white balance every time my hand moves out of screen. I will try to figure that out this week so that it stops happening, because it honestly just annoys the snot out of me. So, yeah. So all I'm doing is I am getting a house wet, and I am painting the darkest part at the top. And then I am pulling that down almost exactly like you swatch paint. So that is really all I am doing, is pulling paint down these houses, because I want to keep the top darkest and then have kind of like almost a foggy effect at the bottom of each row of houses. So that's where I'm going. That's what I'm trying to do. It gets so dark. It's so annoying. Okay. I try to fix it as best as I can, but I mean, like when I'm going in and out of screen like that, it's so hard to fix because I have to cut it all up. Anyways, I will try to get that fixed before my next video. Not before my next one, because my next one is really just the second half of this one, and it's mostly recorded already. I just have a little bit more to do, and then, yeah. Anyways, so I really, like, it was so nice to paint these houses. Like, all of these kind of fidgety little areas that I didn't have to think too much about what I was doing, and I could just paint and, yeah, enjoy the colors and enjoy the process. It was almost like a coloring book page for a while. Yeah, it doesn't get stressful again until, like, I start trying to figure out how I'm going to paint the, like, characters on the page, and then I'm like, oh, what am I doing? But yeah, I really like this part of the process. And if you're wondering, as you're watching me struggle to not paint over these little yellow windows, if you're wondering why I didn't put masking fluid on all of those, The answer to that is that I was going to paint them all black when I put the masking fluid on. Like, I didn't make a decision about painting them yellow, which makes a lot more sense for an evening in a not spooky ghost town. Uh, like, I didn't make that decision until later. And then I was like, oh, yeah, clearly they should be yellow. I don't even know what I was thinking. Uh, it could just go back to that thing where it's spring and I am not sleeping well. I seriously, do my spring allergies like make my brain crazier than usual? I don't know. It's possible. Or like I just don't know how to deal with like happiness in the spring because the sun is back and like it's starting to get warm and I can actually see like later than 4 o'clock at night outside. And yeah, it could be just like my body doesn't know how to deal. And so like, yeah, it makes me extra weird, I guess. It's fine. I mean, I'm gonna turn 45 this year, so I'm used to being myself at this point. Yeah. So this clearly is not a realistic portrayal of what houses look like anywhere. And I just kind of went with it. Like I didn't want it to get too cluttered, so I didn't put in what would probably have been a more sensible number of houses. Like I just let them get all tall and weird and yeah, it was fun. You know, like my style is not super realistic for the most part anyways, so I just wanted to have fun and I did. So there. So it turns out that if I put out a 2 hour long video, which by the way, some of you have watched and I appreciate it. And some of you have actually commented on, although like not a lot. And I mean, like, it weirds me out when my usual commenters don't comment on my videos. Like, you know, you guys are my friends. So like when you're not around, I'm like sad. Anyways, so when I make a 2 hour long video, like my last video was, I actually run out of things to say. And I know that I have replenished my pool of things to say as of today, but like I can't think of them because I seriously didn't sleep last night. You know, the weirdest thing happened to me last night. Well, it didn't really happen to me. It just happened. Like I think it was like 2:30 in the morning. Somebody like ran down my street, and I mean, like there are college kids and stuff on my street, and this was not that. This was just some rando. I like I don't even know who it could be, like yelling about the end of the world. And I was like, how we needed to all get out of our houses because the end of the world was coming. And I was like, my dude, if the end of the world is coming, I'm going to spend it in my pajamas trying to sleep on my cozy warm bed with my kitties. So, I mean, if the end of the world is coming, let it come, I guess. But yeah, he like ran down the whole block yelling, and it was just super weird. Like it was loud enough that it freaked my cats out, and yeah, so that was amusing. Um, if you have never used masking fluid, I highly recommend it. It is really satisfying to paint over masking fluid, especially like I mean like it is satisfying to paint over it, and then even more satisfying later when you get to take it off. It is satisfying the whole way through. It's only slightly annoying that it's shiny and kind of makes it, oh, it's doing that thing where it gets dark again. It makes it hard for you to kind of gauge what's going on in your painting sometimes because it's shiny and it's colored and you're like, what does my painting actually look like right now? But but it's amazing stuff, honestly. I really like it. I should use it more now that I'm saying less. I feel like I'm convincing myself just as much as I am like convincing other people. Use more masking fluid. It's awesome stuff. I would really like to try using masking tape more. I have seen some people like use it really effectively as like a masking in your painting, like not just around the edges, which clearly I'm using it here on the edges, but like actually like masking off items in your painting. I've seen it used really effectively, and I think that'd be really fun to try. So I'll put that on my list of things that I should try someday. Yeah. So I am continuing to paint down these houses, and I think you can probably start to see the kind of ephemeral, foggy look I'm going for at the bases of the houses. And that that technique I learned from Stephanie Law. I was her patron for a long time and learned a lot of stuff from her. I should be her patron again someday. I am so broke right now. Oh, hey, speaking of brokenness and patrons, I have a Ko-fi account and you guys should go check it out. It is brand new, so I'm just like, I haven't even mailed out the first month stuff yet. So if you wanted to get in on this month, you still can. I will mail that out sometime before the end of the month here. So, and I have, I think 3 tiers. Yes, 3 tiers. There's like a just sticker tier, and there's a just virtual stuff tier that's like coloring book pages and reference photos that are for artists. Which I'm really excited about making reference photos for other artists to use because I just love seeing what other artists put up as references for me to use, you know? So I'm always really interested. I'm like, in seeing what other artists think are good reference photos. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Anyways, and then there's like a tier of physical stuff where I mail you out a print. And this month's print I think is super cute. And I am not posting about what it is anywhere. So it's going to be a surprise when people get it. I probably won't do that every month. Some months I'll be like, here's the thing I'm doing this month. So yeah, I don't know. But you can see my stickers. I do have pictures of those up on my various social medias. So if you go over to my Instagram, I think there are pictures of the stickers that I'm sending out this month. Yeah. Where was I going? Oh yeah, go over to my Ko-fi and check it out. And yeah, I promised myself that I would start posting like just regular stuff there to like chat about this week. I'm just super busy. So it might not happen until the weekend. Or it might happen tomorrow. Like, yeah, sometimes when you get really busy, it's nice to be able to just take a step back and go, you know, all of the things that I need to get done, I am going to just get this other thing done instead that's slightly less in priority, but it just makes me feel a little bit less like I'm under pressure to do only things that I have to do. If that makes sense. It could. I don't know. Yeah. So, painting still. Looks like I'm painting some houses still. Oh, I love that tall, skinny chimney. I love that chimney. It made me really happy to draw it, and it was really fun to paint, and every time I see it, it makes me smile. So, tall, skinny chimney for the win. I also have a newsletter that I haven't sent out in like 4 months at least, I think. So I really need to do that more often. I mean, it's not like a sales newsletter. It's just like a, hey, here's what's up with my projects. And maybe that's why I haven't put it out in so long, because when I decided to start having a newsletter, I was like, I'm going to work on these books, I'm going to work on this calendar, and now I'm like kind of doing other stuff. But now I'm starting to swing back into wanting to work on books and work on more serious projects like that. And like, that's the kind of thing that I'd like to do more in like a vloggy format like that. So that I can talk about like the process that I'm going through and like where I am and, you know, and I'm going through Substack. And so that's kind of like a really good way that you can communicate back with me if I'm like, hey, if you have any ideas of where I should go to do research for a project I'm working on, like it's really easy to communicate back and forth through Substack. So join my newsletter. Behold the drama going on here. Oh, is there a cat in the yard? Oh no. There's a cat. Also, why is your butt on my painting again? Why is your butt? Why is this fuzzy bit? Why is this always on my painting? Ma'am. She doesn't care. She's just interested in the cat. Here's more drama. The stranger cat is getting yelled at by that squirrel. Drama. Alright, can you guys see it? See what stranger cat's doing in my yard? She's a little bun. Oh my goodness, what a cute baby. I mean, she's an adult, but I don't want her to get eaten by a cat, so I'm probably gonna scare her out of there, which doesn't make me happy. Look at how cute she is. Squirrel is also angry at me. Just look at her. She blends in so well. You can barely see her. It's not cool. You can still hear the squirrel yelling at me too. Okay, so that was a fun little intermission. I don't know why I can't get through a video without showing you some weirdness that my cats are getting up to, but it just is my life. So I want to share it with you. And so now I'm painting these bushes, and I am trying to I'm trying to not get a solid color. I mean, honestly, that's like my process is like I want it to look interesting, so I don't want a solid color. So I go into my palette and dip out little bits of different greens. And I mean, like you saw my palette, it's like all weird mud. So like I'm just picking up different parts of the mud to put on my painting. And trying to actually do the thing where you put vibrant colors in the foreground and more subtle colors in the background, and yellower colors in the foreground and bluer colors. Oh, cat hair. Oh, is it cat hair? You sneaky jerks. Yeah, more blue colors in the background. Um, I am really looking forward to taking the masking fluid off of these flowers. I don't even know what I want to do with them yet. Are they going to be white? Are they going to be gold? I don't know. I can't decide. And then I do actually try to make little shadowy shapes underneath things that I think should make shadows. Like I just put those little blobs of color underneath the flowers and I think would cast a little bit of shadows. I mean, it's not something that you need to take a lot of time with, but I think it adds a lot of interest to your weird bush lumps in your paintings. So, and your brain sees those shapes and understands that that's what they're supposed to look like, even if it doesn't recognize what it's doing. Does that make sense? Sort of, maybe? Yeah. So now I'm painting a background bush, and I don't know why I left that weird stripe there that's white. I have no idea. And then I went back. Like, it bugged me to watch that. And then I painted over it, and I was like, finally. I don't know. I don't know why I did it like that. And I am also trying to do that thing here where I keep that difference in tone so the bottom part of the bush is lighter so that the foreground bush stands out from it more. Which you can see here. Yeah, making that foreground bush more vibrant and yellower. You know, I don't know. I had so much fun painting these bushes. I don't know why I'm kind of obsessed with painting weird little foliage lumps lately, but I am. It is what it is. And there's more cat hair, which is expected. So there you go. I've also been really into like alligator type things lately. Been painting and drawing a lot of alligators, um, and dragons, which are also kind of alligator-ish things. I don't know why. You get something in your head and it just doesn't want to budge. It's like having a song stuck in your head, only it's an alligator. That's my best line ever. I can quit YouTube now because I just said the best thing that could ever possibly be said. Yeah. So and then if you're like, I don't know how to deal with bushes, I find it's really helpful to do like, here's the sketch of an outline, and then put those little tiny red leaf sketchies that I have in the middle of that bush, like where you want there to be like a secondary lump. You know what I mean? It's not necessary, but it can be helpful if like approaching a giant weird shape bush thing is, you know, if you don't know how to deal with it, it's like, well, here's where you're gonna split the shape up so that you don't have to think about it. And it's really helpful. Plus, I like to see the little sketchy leaves in there. It's fun. So now we have begun to paint the alligator. And I did that thing that you do where you try to paint out a wet area past the edge of your paint so that you get a soft edge. And I keep, like, Arches is way thirsty. Like, I don't know if, like, I just don't paint on it often enough, but, like, Arches is a super thirsty paper, and I never give it enough water. That's fine. I'm learning how to deal with my lack of remembering things. And I definitely did not try to color match these paints very much at all. Like, I was just like, I'm just going to throw a bunch of stuff on here because I knew that I was going to come back with colored pencils and it would all just end up getting fixed later in my process. That's a horrible attitude to have, but it's the one that I decided to have for this painting. And I do get a soft edge on that green on the face, and it does look really nice. And I also decided to take off some of the, like, it got a little too green on his, like, neck area, because that's kind of supposed to be whitish, you know, but yeah. And there's a hair there, and I can see it, and it's bugging me, and I don't know why I haven't gotten rid of it. Probably because I'm feeling defeated by all of the cat hairs at this point. I'm like, fine, just stay there. Whatever, I don't care. But if you leave them on your watercolor, they, like, do weird things to your watercolor, and they end up leaving little ghost noodles. Like, that's just how I think of them, which could be because I am clearly obsessed with noodle things. That's fine, but they leave little ghost noodles on your watercolor, and you can never get rid of them. It's there forever. Yeah. So I try to get them off, but they don't always come off, and I don't always catch them. So sometimes you just get weird texture things, and some places that's fine, but I don't really want them, like, in the night sky. And so here I'm adding, like, a bluier green underneath where I want some of the darker shadows to be, like by the alligator's little hand and in the parts of the alligator that are kind of in the little tunnel bridge. Yeah, I am trying to be braver about marking out my shadow areas. It's a little scary. I'm not gonna lie. It's with watercolor, once you go dark, and if you're trying to, like, stay, like, I don't want to take out the gouache. I don't want to bust out the gouache. I don't want to bust out, let's say, colored pencils. It's kind of scary. It's a big, like, it's a color commitment. So we are at the end of the video. Yeah, it's ending in a weird spot. And I will see you guys on Friday with colored pencils. And have a really, really great week. Okay, bye-bye.